The loan officer slid the paper back across the desk and wouldn't look at me. Ms. Carver, I'm sorry. Your application is denied. You have $450,000 in outstanding debt under your name. I laughed. I actually laughed because it sounded like a joke. That's impossible. I've never taken out a loan that big in my life. She turned her monitor toward me. A mortgage on a property in Colorado. A business line of credit. 2 credit cards, maxed out. All under Danielle Carver. My name. My social security number. My signature, apparently, on every single page. I drove home with my hands shaking on the wheel. My credit score, which had been 780 last year, now sat at 512. I felt sick, like the ground under my life had quietly rotted out while I wasn't looking. My husband Ryan was in the kitchen when I walked in. I put my phone on the counter, the credit report glowing on the screen. Explain this. He barely glanced at it. Must be identity theft. Happens all the time. To the exact amount that would cover your brother's business? That's a coincidence? His jaw tightened. Don't start, Danny. That was the first crack. He didn't ask what the debt was. He didn't ask who could have done it. He just told me not to start. Like he already knew the ending to a conversation I hadn't finished asking. If you've ever felt your own family go quiet at the exact moment you needed answers, you already know how this story starts. Stay with me, because it gets worse before it gets better. I called my mother-in-law Carol that night. Sweet church-going Carol, who signed every birthday card, love always. She sighed like I was overreacting. Sweetheart, families help each other. Your father-in-law needed a co-signer for Kyle's shop. We knew you'd say yes eventually, so we just moved things along. You forged my signature. Nobody forged anything, she said too fast. Ryan handled the paperwork. It's practically the same as you signing. Practically. That word sat in my chest like a stone. Kyle's shop, his failing auto business that had almost broken even for 3 years running. $450,000 of my future quietly rerouted into his garage. I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of them. I said I needed time to think, hung up, and sat in my car in the driveway until my hands stopped shaking. Then I opened a blank note on my phone and typed one line. Get proof. Say nothing. The next morning, I requested my full credit file. Every account, every date opened. I called the mortgage lender in Colorado and asked, calm as I could manage, for a copy of the closing documents. The woman on the phone said it would take a few days to pull the notarized file. I thanked her and said I'd wait. I want to say something here because I know some of you are sitting exactly where I was. If a debt shows up under your name that you didn't create, don't confront anyone yet. Pull your reports first. Documents don't lie the way people do. While I waited, I noticed small things. Ryan started sleeping with his phone face down. Carol texted me twice, unprompted, saying how much she loved having me in the family. Kyle avoided me at a birthday dinner like I had a disease. Guilt has a smell, and my whole family reeked of it. 5 days later, the documents arrived by email. I opened the mortgage file first. There it was. My name, my address, and a notary stamp from a woman named Patricia Hale. I didn't know any Patricia Hale. I'd never met a notary in Colorado in my life. I called the notary board and asked how to verify a stamp. They gave me a number for Patricia Hale's office directly. When I called, her assistant told me Patricia had retired 2 years ago, before the mortgage was even signed. Someone had used a dead notary's stamp on a live document. That wasn't sloppy family favoritism. That was fraud, cold and deliberate. I found a business credit card application next, one Kyle had used to buy shop equipment. The signature line had my name, but the handwriting slanted right, heavy on the loops. My real signature slants left. I set both side by side and stared until my eyes burned. It wasn't close. It wasn't even a good forgery. Nobody had bothered to try hard because nobody thought I'd ever look. That was the part that hurt most. Not the debt. The certainty that I wouldn't check. I drove to the bank that issued the business line of credit and asked, politely, if they had security footage or a signing log from the date on file. The manager hesitated until I mentioned identity theft and the word police report. Then he pulled the file himself. The in-person signing was logged under an employee named Denise, dated a Tuesday afternoon. I asked if I could see the log's notes. Denise had written 3 words next to my name. Husband signed. ID shown. Ryan had shown my ID. My actual driver's license. Which meant he hadn't just borrowed my name. He'd taken my wallet. I remembered losing my license somewhere in the house 8 months earlier. I'd ordered a replacement and never thought about it again. He'd had it the whole time. I filed a police report that same afternoon, then an identity theft complaint with the FTC, then contacted a lawyer who specialized in financial fraud within families. Yes, that's a real specialty, and yes, she said this happens more than people think. She explained it plainly. Forged signatures, a fake notarization, and use of a stolen ID weren't family miscommunication. They were felony-level fraud, and because the amount crossed 6 figures, prosecutors don't treat that lightly, spouse or not. I gave Ryan and his family 5 days to make it right before I filed everything with the bank's fraud department and the district attorney. Not out of mercy, because the law requires certain notices before some actions, and I wanted every step clean, documented, unshakable. Ryan begged. Carol cried on the phone about family and forgiveness. Kyle finally texted, "I'll pay it back, please don't do this." Nobody offered that 5 months ago, when they were spending my good name like a blank check. On day 5, nothing had changed but their panic. So I submitted everything. The fake notary confirmation, the signature comparison, the bank's own log with Denise's handwritten note, the police report. The bank opened a formal fraud investigation. The mortgage and credit lines were flagged and frozen, pending review. Kyle's business assets became part of a restitution claim. Ryan was charged with identity theft and fraud, and this time, no amount of family dinner talk could unsign those documents. I filed for divorce the same week. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. A man who steals your identity to fund his brother's failing dream was never protecting your future. He was spending it. My credit is still healing. It takes time, and honestly, some scars from this don't fully fade. They just stop hurting as much. But I sleep without flinching now. I check my own mail. I own my own name again. If someone in your life has ever handed you a debt you didn't choose and smiled while doing it, don't wait for them to fix it. Pull your reports. Ask for the paperwork. The truth is usually sitting in a file somewhere, patient, waiting for you to finally look.